Do you play Airsoft naked? If you answer that question with yes, then... But if you answer that question with no, then you're probably going to need some clothes. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. I cannot drink for shit. Show clear. Now, quickly before we start this video, this is just a brief overview of my limited experience. If you have anything to add to this, or you have anything to say about the brands that I mentioned, or any other brands that you want to talk about, please do so in the comments so we can keep this going down there, so that people who need to buy new clothes can actually read a lot more information than just this video. If you have any other questions regarding gear, either if it's comm setup, gun setup, tuning, gear setup, whatever, join my Discord server, link in the description. We have a lot of funny people on there. We talk about a lot of gear stuff, and for some reason we have developed a fixation for femboy gifs as reaction memes. I don't know. I seriously don't know. Anyways, let's kickstart this video with my personal experience regarding gear. And I first started off buying IdoGear and Krydex, like most people do. Now the good thing about Krydex and IdoGear is that they're pretty inexpensive, yet still good quality. The multicam looks okay-ish to good. The quality of the material and the stitching is also good. And you pay less than $100 for a pair of pants and a combat shirt. In my experience, the pants from IdoGear have lighter material than the ones from Krydex. However, with the combat shirts, it's vice versa. But there are some downsides to IdoGear and Krydex. For one, what I have found really annoying is that their combat shirts have really high collars, which just looks silly, and it also gets kind of annoying when they flip up or get caught underneath your plate carrier or shoulder straps, and then it just rubs against your neck. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Another thing that is really important to mention is sizing. So because they're like a cheap brand, they don't offer that many sizes because they want to slimline production, obviously. But that comes at the cost of, for example, for me, tall people, or for example, my friend really skinny and somewhat tall people, you will have problems finding the right size for you. For example, my friend, he has really long arms because he's tall, but he's really skinny. And the problem is that the combat shirts that they offer only have long arms when they also have a really wide torso. And that way the combat shirt, a shirt that is supposed to sit slim to the body so it doesn't impede with armor and weapon handling, etc., looks really loose and bulky on him, because otherwise the sleeves would be way too short. For me, the biggest problem was my legs, because if you don't know me, I'm 6'4" and 90% out of legs, so my legs are pretty long. And the problem that you can expect there is that most combat pants don't fit me that well if they have integrated knee pads. For example, with the IdoGear and Krydex ones, the knee pads would sit somewhat on my knees when I was standing, but as soon as I would kneel down, the knee pads would slide up, my whole entire ankles and shin would be exposed, and my knees would no longer be protected by the knee pads, which is kind of counterproductive if you think about it. So yeah, that is a problem that I've had with IdoGear and Krydex. But then not so long ago, I bought Emerson Gear pants. To be specific, I bought Emerson G3 yellow label pants in multicam, and I couldn't be happier. In terms of combat shirt, I now run a true spec Air Force issued combat shirt in OCP in size M, which has long sleeves but a tight fitting torso, which is pretty nice, and I cannot complain either. So let's quickly get these out of my closet. So as you can see, these are my Emerson Gear pants. They have that Emerson logo on the knee pads. I don't know if you can see that, but it's there. And they also have the yellow label. What that actually means, I will get into later on. And then here's my true spec regular size M combat shirt. What I don't like is that the shoulder pockets are with zippers and not the Crye style ones, but I can get over that. I don't really need my shoulder pockets that much. But what I like about it as well is that the torso material is like super thin. It's like almost, hold on, let me show you. It's almost nothing compared to the Krydex and IdoGear one, which have way thicker material. Like right here, you can see the light shining through. It's insane. I love it. And again, good material, good stitching, good multicam. But my experience alone isn't enough to form a proper thesis or result. So I abused my powers on my Discord server and did a Add Everyone question where I asked for people's experience with different kinds of repro brands or clothing brands that don't break the bank. And from what I've heard, Krydex, IdoGear is fine, but Emerson is just the best brand out there for Airsoft or Milsim in terms of budget. But what I also want to say is that it depends on where you live. If you live in Asia, Emerson or stuff like these Asian brands are like the best thing for you because they're super cheap and they're sourced near you, so you won't pay as much for shipping. However, if you live in the US, for example, it would be way cheaper for you to just snag some used Kryes out of a surplus store, surplus army combat pants for like 70 bucks, like real Crye, real multicam, real material, NIR compliant for 70 bucks. You don't need to buy brand new Emersons for that. Unless you obviously want a more niche camo, because Emerson offers a lot of different camo patterns. And in the EU, well, Crye costs a shit ton of money, also surplus. There's not a lot of original military surplus, at least good military surplus, especially in Germany. And European brands like UFPRO are really expensive. You might want to consider Helicontex, but I will get into that later on as well. So Emerson Gear is also the best option there. For example, my Emerson pants, I bought these off of eBay from some guy for 60 bucks, and they were brand new, unused, and still had the label and everything on them. So yeah, but what do these labels actually mean? Well, Emerson offers a lot of different labels, and I asked one of my friends who knows more about that than me to explain it to me. So from what I could understand, and I have my little cheat sheet right here, there are 3 labels that you can probably get right now, which is blue label, yellow label, and brown label. There are also black label and black/yellow label and some other labels that have existed in the past but no longer get sold, at least from what we've seen. If I'm wrong, please correct me on that again in the comments. But blue label is the best. It has real multicam, also sometimes real material, the best stitching, but it's also the most expensive label out there. Yellow label is kind of the middle way with good colors, the one that I have, good colors, good material, good stitching, but it doesn't cost as much as blue label. And brown label, if you could, figure yourself, it's the least expensive, but also least in terms of quality. However, it's still in the ballpark, competing with Krydex and IdoGear, which is something to keep in mind. Especially if you need like weird sizing, like me, if you need long sizing, you're better off buying, brown label Emerson Gear than, Krydex, because again, the sizing for tall people is like off by kilometers or football fields if you're from the US. So yeah, I hope that helps you. But again, if you have more questions, leave them down in the comments. Join my Discord server. We have a lot of people there that can help you with that. But there are a lot of other brands that I also want to mention, that also have been mentioned in my Discord when I asked people. So let's get into these. A lot of people said Pewtech. However, I could only find pants from Pewtech. I don't know if I'm just stupid, but if you have seen like Pewtech combat shirts, please let me know. If you have any experience with Pewtech, let me know in the comments. I'm really interested, because again, I could only find Pewtech combat shirts. If you are looking for real steel usage, in the military or in law enforcement, but you don't want to pay like Crye money, for example, if you're from Europe or Asia, then you could look into Emerson Gear, especially if you're from Europe, because Emerson Gear uses real material, good NIR compliance, good stitching, good quality control, etc., etc., in like billions of different colorways and camos. He's based in Ukraine, so he might get, hopefully not, but he might get slimed. I know, bad joke. But one of my best friends has a set of Flextron G3s from Emerson Gear that he uses regularly in the military for work, in the field. He's in the field quite often due to his, MOS, and he's like super happy with them, because in Europe you would pay like 600 bucks for a full Crye set, like brand new. Flextron is basically an obtainium from Crye in Europe, but from Emerson Gear you pay like 350 for a whole set, which is like super nice. If you're more in the Airsoft type of ballpark, or you need milsim, you might also look into TMC, plate carriers from TMC. However, from what I've heard on my Discord server, some of these stuff is hit or miss. You need to be careful there. But I also seen that they offer a couple different colorways and stuff. I've also heard of the brand Arctis from Britain. I'm not too sure about their quality and how much you're actually paying for quality instead of just the brand name. So if you have any experience with the Arctis pants and combat shirts, please let me know in the comments. And then also there's the Mia SMTP store on AliExpress. They sell the clothes or stuff from POA store, which is Put on Armor store. From what I've heard, Mia SMTP is pretty great. However, you should stay away from the AR1 stuff. Some of my friends told me that they're not that great. But they also have an Instagram, so follow them on there. There's also Kutag. It's a store for a lot of different, producers. So there's a lot of weird stuff on there. They're pretty good, but in the last couple of days, I've heard a lot of bad stuff about them. For example, one of my friends had an order not shipped yet for like a month. It has been stuck in shipping, a Delta bag from Kutag, which is obviously not great if your order is like stuck in some kind of weird place for like 1 month and you can't hear anything from either the delivery service or Krydex themselves. Then there's also IdoGear. IdoGear is also somewhat okay. I've had some pants from them, but again, they didn't fit me that well because I have like humongous legs. Some of my friends have IdoGear stuff and they say it's good. The cool thing about IdoGear also is that they offer a lot of different camo patterns, which is great. You don't have to go, with Emerson Gear if you're just going to use it for Airsoft. But what I've heard is that the IdoGear Fleck Turn is kind of bluish, so keep in mind that IdoGear colors might be off. And then there's Helicontacts, mentioned before. I have had Helicontacts SFU Next to combat pants in M81 Woodland. What I like about them is the internal knee pads, so they don't fall out and stuff. They're also really easy to install. And especially for my long legs, I had zero problems with fitment or flexibility, which is pretty nice. And the price class is also, I guess, okay, especially for a European brand, but I do think they produce in China or Thailand. However, Helicontacts offers a lot of different models of the clothing and also a lot of different camo patterns. So for example, Rhodesian bush stroke or some stuff like that, which is like really cool in my opinion because it looks over, I guess, anything else in Airsoft. So yeah, that is everything. Let's sum up really quick. The best thing you can buy is Emerson Gear. According to a lot of people, just buy Emerson Gear. They even offer different, price classes for their products. Emerson Gear is really great if you're looking for real steel or, more durable stuff. TMC and Mia SMTP are also great. Mia SMTP is especially great if you look for more, I guess, niche stuff. For example, they also offer rugby shirts. And Helicontacts is for especially European dudes who are looking for, I guess, niche, somewhat niche camo patterns from an actual brand and not just a no-name store on AliExpress. Oh, and if you're asking yourself, yes, I did lose my rear sight. I ordered a new one. It should be coming in a couple of weeks, depending on how fast shipment will go. Anyways, this video is rapidly approaching the 20-minute mark, and I do not want it to continue any longer. So join my Discord server, follow my Instagram, link in bio, follow my team's Instagram, also link in bio. And until we see each other next time, LARP.